I don't want to sound like humble, but I honestly think luck and timing is a big part of it. Because I had so many sequences of luck and timing, I really learned to bet on myself, because if I was always being pushed into positions that I had no experience in doing, and I was able to excel in those, it kind of made me realize that what's the limitation that I can't do anything in life?
Welcome back to Movified. I am your host, Mark Hirschi, with Salmon's Moving and Stores located in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. It is a Movified Mondays, and I am terrified to have this next guest on, but I'm super happy. He's a good friend of mine. It is Prabh Heer with You Move Me. What's up, Prabh? How's it going, buddy?
Very good, man. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you for jumping on. It's been a minute since you first came on. The awkwardness is over. I feel like I've been having the opportunity to rub your belly a couple times, so I feel like I have good luck on this episode, and we have some exciting stuff to talk about, right? Like we have a whole list of amazing situations. Prabh comes from You Move Me, but his background is even more diverse. Can you give me a little bit? And for those that didn't listen to that episode, shame on you, but go back and listen to the episode that we had Prabh on, where we gave a little bit of his origin story. But why don't you give us a brief 30 seconds on who you are?
Yeah, happy to. And before I begin, just keep rubbing my belly, but just not so hard. Otherwise, you'll get bad luck instead of good luck. Now that that's over and we can move on from my belly. Yeah, background of You Move Me in my career. So I've worked at You Move Me as for 10 years. I started off 10 years ago working at the Vancouver franchise as their business development manager. So door knocking to furniture stores, doing estimates, cold calling realtors and having them never call me back. I worked my way up to sales manager, then to general manager of that location. I helped scale that. From there, I went to go work at the head office. I was the sales center manager, and I'd never managed a sales center before, so that was pretty interesting. After that, I moved over to field ops, and I was the business coach for all of our locations. After that, I became the director of operations, so I was overseeing the operations department, the marketing department, and the customer experience department. From there, I was promoted to interim CEO when we had a change of leadership. Once we selected our new CEOs, we moved offices from Vancouver to Kansas City, and I was promoted to chief of staff, and I was the only remote executive for You Move Me. After 10 years, I wanted to go do something different, so I told ownership that I was going to leave. Ownership told me that I was making a mistake, had me rescind my acceptance offer at the other company I was going to, and they promoted me to VP of operations of the parent company. And as of July 1st, I've officially become COO of Mobio Brands, which is the parent company of You Move Me.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, man.
It's an amazing achievement watching the success that you've had over these last 10 years. What would you say is one of the main contributing factors of that success?
I don't want to sound like humble, but I honestly think luck and timing is a big part of it, right? Like I would say that luck has allowed me to move up into positions that I wasn't necessarily skilled or able to do, but then the timing was also right. And because I had so many sequences of luck and timing, I really learned to bet on myself, because if I was always being pushed into positions that I had no experience in doing, and I was able to excel in those, it kind of made me realize that what's the limitation that I can't do anything in life? If every time my back was against the wall and I'm able to outperform, it really taught me the tenacity I need to take on any role. So while I'm the CEO of Mobio Brands, I'm very grateful for that. I kind of look to, okay, once we get to 100 million, is the new marker 500 million? After 500 million, is it a billion? And would I stop there? Honestly, I don't think so. I would just keep going.
I love that. I was talking with someone on another episode where it's defining the thriving part of your life. You know, what does success mean to you? And I feel like as any entrepreneur, you really should have that written down so you understand what your goal is and what you want to achieve in life. For some, it's, hey, we've hit this milestone. It's now for the next milestone, and then the next one, and the next one. For others, it's, hey, I've hit this milestone. I now can go and hire someone for my role, and I can kind of sit back a little bit. All right. I had a phone call with another moving company owner the other day where he said, maybe we're not as busy as we want to be, but I'm living the life that I want right now. I'm able to see my kids. I'm able to spend more time with family. I still have the ability for a good income, but there's that drive I feel is stagnant, and it can go one way or the other, I find. right? I mean, I purchased Salmons because many of them wanted to retire, but the company also became stagnant because they had this retirement mentality built in their head years before the deal actually finalized. And that's what I feel like happens to a lot of moving companies. I almost kind of want to jump to one of the questions we had, but I'll hold back because I feel like if you don't have that drive, your company's just not going to succeed.
Yeah, and I think it extends all parts of life, right? Like let's think about Mark, for example, earlier on his career. Why is he doing what he's doing? To make his parents proud. Then Mark has kids. What is he doing? He's trying to be an example for his children. Now what is Mark doing? And he keeps taking on more and more responsibility. He's just doing it for himself to show himself what's possible. And I think the reason why you and I get along so well is because we operate under those same parallels in life, right? Our why is that we don't really have a why yet because we don't know what's possible because we haven't hit that marker yet. And so the idea of stagnation and like retirement is not on the radar. I always used to joke with my parents that I'm like, oh, like I can't wait to retire to 50. And then I actually had a LinkedIn message just like 24 hours ago. And it was a financial advisor cold DMing me, asking me if I've thought about my retirement plans. And I wrote back, LOL, question mark, retirement, never happening. If anything, I'm going to double down.
I love it. I love it. Did you respond back?
He hasn't responded back yet, but I think that probably pissed him off a little bit, but also is like, I'm not the right fit for this person.
Yeah,
Too type
for
A.
sure.
Before we ever started using a moving CRM, someone asked me, could you 10x what you're doing right now with the current systems and processes you have in place? And I said no. And so he was like, well, then you need to just pull the trigger on the software. And then I saw Smart Moving and it was game over.
Austin joined thousands of moving owners on Smart Moving in 2021. Since then, he's more than doubled his business.
And I always compare Smart Moving to Apple products. It's just so simple, so easy to use. And that's really what's allowed my team to scale and now have 2 branches. And last year we scaled Central Coast Moving over 50% growth.
If you're ready to turn your moving company into a machine that drives profit, not chaos, try Smart Moving.
You know, I might as well jump into this because, you know, to disrupt the industry and it can happen. I've had several conversations with other business owners where they're in the midst of thinking about wanting to franchise or they're franchising out. And I find there's 2 ways to look about how to franchise. And you can correct me on this or give me the best options because I kind of want to lead into this type of topic and conversation. It's find a location that works and go set up a location, get a truck out there, maybe get a small office, start marketing within that area, build up those leads, start booking those moves, and you eventually can, you know, you have a successful franchise in that area that is keeping the guys, keeping the doors open. Guys are moving, and you know, you take that model, you can expand it on to the next location. I find the other model is put the feelers out. Find a moving company that is, you know, not doing well or has become stagnant, maybe looking at either retirement, maybe they just hit some bottlenecks and they're constantly stuck at that $1 million, $2 million mark. They're not really getting anywhere. And you go to them with an offer and you acquire them in the terms of within several months, usually about a 6-month term. You've rebranded them under your company name. Would you say those 2 models are the most popular models that have worked? Has You Move Me followed any one of those models in a sense? And what does You Move Me look at when they want to try and disrupt that industry in certain markets they want to expand into?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I would say that You Move Me has had experience in both. And like, I think you have to do both. I think there's going to be a lot of people that get excited about the brand. They want to open their own moving business. They see the branding, they see our reputation. I can do this too. I'd love to do this. Let's get started. The one thing that people don't think about, or the major thing that people maybe they do think about, but they don't put enough focus on is like, how hard is franchising actually? And how hard is it to start a business from zero? I mean, you've done it. I've done it. It's a lot of work. And it takes a lot of tenacity, kind of what we talked about before, to be able to get through those hard points. Like once you get to your first $1 million as a moving business, you're like, okay, I made it. And then you look at your P&L for last year, and like, okay, I haven't made it yet. I need to do double this, and then I've got a shot at being able to pay myself enough that I feel like this is all worth it. And the road to 2 million is a road that's full of pain. And setting a lot of cash on fire. So if you have someone that has the mindset that they're willing to grind it out to get a business of $2 million plus, then they're the right candidate fit. That's why we don't actively expand franchises that often. We're hyper selective because what's the point in giving someone a franchise if their growth is going to stagnate? And then we have, let's say, an average revenue of each of our franchises is in the 7 figures, but we have this one lagging behind the low 6 figures. They're not really generating enough as a business, and the amount of royalties that we collect off them isn't really enough to service them properly either. So it's like we should both agree to break up and go the other way. That's why we look at it as a mix. To your second point about conversions, and the reason why I like conversions so much is exactly what you just said about stagnation. There's a lot of moving companies that can get to 1 million, to 1.5, to 2, to even 2.5. Getting over 2.5 is very, very challenging, and it takes a lot of strategy and a lot of direction. And the one benefit that we have as a franchisor is we have economies of scale, right? We have multiple locations that we can spread costs between to get better deals on anything. If we're looking at finding a long distance partner throughout the U.S., well, we have 25 locations all across North America that we can easily pinpoint at, like, hey, we've got a partner here, we've got a partner there. Versus if you're one individual moving company, you don't have that reach. So those that are interested in converting, not only do they get access to our expertise, but they also get access to our scale. You can give me a $2 million moving business, and I can tell you how to make it a $4 million moving business. Give me a $5 million moving business, and I can teach you how to make it a $10 million moving business. It really comes down to if the ownership is willing to put the work in, and if they are, I'm ready to put the work in too, and we can scale it together. The idea being, if you join, and then let's say collectively as a system, we sold our franchises out to like a private equity group, the return on our investment is going to be so much higher than you can get on your own, and then it's a win-win. Not to mention, let's say you eventually want to sell a business. You're eventually going to want to sell salmons. So wouldn't you want to sell salmons for the highest possible price? Well, the best way to get that is to have the highest multiple on your EBITDA. And how do you get the highest multiple on your EBITDA? You got to get that number up as high as possible. You don't get there at 2 million. You don't even get there at 4 million. At 10 million is when you really start to see economies of scale in terms of profitability and a real good chance at a successful exit where you can choose if you want to work anymore. You don't have to work anymore.
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google, no one's gonna call, no one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
Do you, and this conversation comes up all the time with individuals because you've said, well, I can take that 2 million, make it to 4. I can take it from 5. I can make it to 10. But many would also contradict and say, yes, but my profit margin at 2 million is actually substantially high as opposed to what it could look like when I am aiming for 5 million.
It comes down to what you want to do, though. If you're comfortable making $100,000 a year doing it with a $2 million business, then by all means, stay in your lane, and you'll eventually be passed by whoever we partner with, or whether we open up in your own in your location. We have so much focus on defending our position as the number one mover in a lot of the markets that we operate in, that we have to keep driving. People will come up and try to chomp at our ankles, but we'll still always be the market leader because we never take our foot off the gas. And so if you want to become the market leader, or let's say second largest market leader, we can help you get there. Sure, the percentage in terms of profit as a percentage will go down, but the profit in absolute dollars will continue to compound. Because for me, I'd rather make on a $4 million business, I'd rather make 12% than on a $2 million business making 15%. Because it's a lower percentage, but it's way more raw dollars. And not to mention, no one really wants to buy a business if it's only going to make a couple, like the low six figures. It's just not enough. What's their payback period going to look like? If they have a higher chance to compound profit faster, their payback period is shorter, which means that they can satisfy the terms of their loans, and there's a lot less exposure. We see all these like smaller companies that get up to $750,000, and then they start to flounder because it's easy to get to that level, but it's really hard to scale at that point. And when you're all competing at the bottom, it's the most competitive. I would say in a lot of our markets where we're very large, 40% of our business is repeat and referral. You don't get that with a $2 million business. You have to buy your leads, and it's gonna be a slow grind to get there.
For those that are listening and going, I am teetering. I'm that company that's sitting between 1 and 2 million. I almost would be better off having my name as a better and a larger brand underneath like the You Move Me banner. Is there a certain type of discount, a certain type of different setup as opposed to someone that's coming in fresh that wants to buy a franchise? Because I'm also walking in going, hey, I own 2 trucks. We should just get them wrapped, even 3 or 4 trucks. I have already an office. I have a location. We're just doing a whole different rebrand, but I'm also coming in with different assets. Do you look at that as a business point of view for, who's coming in and who's coming in with nothing?
Yeah, it's a great question. And absolutely. We're pretty open to negotiating, especially when it comes to a conversion. And we typically look at the last 3 years of revenue, and we try to take an average of that as a baseline of what the business actually does. And from there, we can negotiate the royalty perspective on the legacy business for what it was doing before. Because we're not here to take away money from you for all the business that you're already generating. We want to bolt on revenue to it. We want to double your revenue from where it was at. And that's where we want to have an opportunity to work together and for us to collect our fair royalty from that side of it.
And this is where I love being able to talk openly with you. You have other franchises all around North America, right? 2 Men in a Truck, All My Sons, College Hunks. They, also are major staples in a lot of the areas that You Move Me's in, and also greater in capacity, right? 200, 300 locations maybe in across the USA. What would you say makes You Move Me stand out? Because they probably have a whole team of innovators and guys that are doing the marketing side of things that are sitting here saying, hey, I can offer you the same setup. I can offer you the same deal as You Move Me. They're a younger company. They're maybe not as well set up. Like, what about those naysayers that are out there to say, well, you're just another one of those franchises that just want to take over my local market? I really want to be that hometown dominator with just my one brand.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I love those 2 examples. Let's start with 2 Men in a Truck, for example. 200 to 300 locations. Good luck providing the same level of support that You Move Me would on a per franchise basis. If you look at the average revenue per franchise of a You Move Me location compared to 2 Men in a Truck, we always end up higher. Why do we end up higher? Because we focus on having a better local reputation, which in most markets, we have a better reputation than 2 Men in a Truck based on number of reviews and also based on star score. And also we focus on scaling our guys up. 2 Men in a Truck model, no offense to them, is add as many franchisees as you can. Well, if you add 10 franchisees, you've got 300, you're probably going to have 10 that are just naturally going to fall out. So you're net zero on the number of franchisees. If you look at our model, we only increase by franchises. We never go backwards. And from that perspective, that just shows how focused we are on growth. And then let's look at College Hunks hauling junk and also moving. Well, their business is split between junk removal and also moving. Do you want to be the master of one, or do you want to be the master of none? Because if you split your focus between 2 different things, it's going to be hard for you to be able to make sure that the model is right. So it's very clear that if they go into junk removal, that they're going to have to compete with some really big players that have some really big economies of scale that they can leverage to undercut on the junk side. And then if they focus on the moving side, well, then they have to make sure that the guys that are hauling junk are actually going to go on moving trucks. It doesn't work out that well. Doing junk is much easier than doing moving. moving is really, really hard, right? So if we focus on being the number one innovator and super agile in the moving space, we've kind of carved out our niche from there. For us, if you ask me, like, what makes you moving different? It's like we just focus on doing the best moves possible. And how would we defend that? Well, Mark, we have over 30,000 5-star reviews on Google alone. 25 locations, over 30,000 5-star reviews. You do the math. That's incredible. You won't find another franchise-based business that has as many reviews on a per location as us. We'll be the first moving company to ever have 100,000 5-star reviews. This is a industry that's plagued with 1-star movers and movers stealing their stuff or having to pay ransom to get their stuff unloaded. You can go with them or you can go with You Move Me. The choice is yours.
Did you just say an ad? Is that what just happened right now? You just throw
Kind of
some
feels like
ad
that
spill?
way.
Should I have just cut that and edit it? Like, the choice is yours. The essence of having so many reviews, there's the guys and gals out there going, okay, yeah, I'm using different apps, I'm using different platforms. How are you instilling in the crews and in the different teams and franchises about getting those reviews in? Because I know some struggle all the time. They're constantly doing these different incentives and this, and they maybe do, let's just say 10 moves a day, and they get like 2 reviews because people are just at times lazy. They just don't want to do a review. It's usually only when they want to do a 1-star review that they're quick with their fingers and their phone. So what are you doing differently to get 30,000 reviews?
It's kind of like, have you read the book Atomic Habits? It's kind of like that, though, to be honest. You get your reps of doing something over and over and over again, and it becomes a habit. I would say for our movers, it's just become a habit to ask for the review and to focus on 5-star service delivery. So when we ask them to get reviews, we have incentives and we have leaderboards, but also, what does it mean when you get a 5-star review? It means you'll have a better reputation. So when you go up against other moving companies, you're the standout. Now, people that are more affluent will likely go with the best rated company. People that are more affluent or have a higher likelihood to tip, and the average tip per mover, I guarantee You Move Me some of the highest in the industry. Well, why are we some of the highest in the industry? It's because we focus so much on our reputation. When you validate with a customer that you gave them a 5-star moving experience and they're willing to write that as a testimonial, there's likely a decent tip attached to it as well. So our movers, like if you look at their effective wage of what they make on a per hour basis, it can be upwards of $7 an hour between tips and incentives that we give them. And that's a pretty big bolt on onto your wage. Imagine making 35% more on a per hourly basis just in incentives.
Isn't that crazy? And people don't really look at that. They always go, well, how much are you getting paid per hour? It's like, no. But if you just do your job effectively, if you just do what's expected of you, there's this opportunity for tips plus different bonuses and incentives because that customer's going to write a great review about you, and then you get an incentive on that. So it's just now that $25 an hour wage just turned into a $40 an hour wage.
Exactly. And it's like anything less than 5 stars is failure. And so if they don't see that they're getting the review, they don't think that they're going to get a tip either, and they should have done better. So it's kind of positive reinforcement in the way that if they ask the customer if they gave a 5-star experience, the customer says yes, then they are able to get the review and then they're able to get a bigger tip. But if they say no, they're like, oh man, I should have worked harder this time, and I'll work harder on the next one to cover what I should have made on this tip. I'll try and get on the next one. And it's not to say that every customer has to tip us, but at the same time, we'd be lying if we didn't say that was a big part of movers' incentives and their overall happiness on a per job basis. These guys work super hard, and we want them to have every opportunity for the customers to share the generosity based on the work that they provided. And getting the review on top is just like icing on the cake.
For sure. I agree. When we talked about franchises earlier, there is a different method to your madness when trying to get the right franchisees. And I kind of want you to elaborate on this. And I'm going to give the loose model, which is you don't need to have 300 franchisees owning 300 different locations. What ideally would be great is to have 150 franchisees that are each owning 4 or 5 different locations, seeing the growth in 1, expanding to 2, expanding to 3, expanding to 4, and allowing the home base, the franchisor of You Move Me, take the control of managing this whole franchise setup. Because Now, like when I'm thinking about it and just talking out loud, that essence we talked about right in the beginning, which is, hey, I want to expand my company. I want to have a couple different franchises. Boy, what a headache. But now I own 4 different locations. I have you move me as like the head office, as my foundation, my support around me, my team and family, you could say, as and loosely, uh, to be able to get to that capacity, to be able to manage those many locations. Is that something that You Move Me really looks at when they're looking for that franchisee to bring on? Or is that something that you slowly see in the growth by having more one-to-ones with those franchisees, in Zoom meetings and in person?
It's a great question, and I think it's more the latter, right? You have to see how they perform in one location, and if their desire to grow is big. I look at 2 relevant examples, like our Vancouver franchise runs one of our largest franchises in the system. One of his teammates, truck team members, I remember I didn't hire him, but I was the first one to promote him to a crew lead. And he was young, went to school, highly educated, really strong, loyal, hardworking dude. He took over our satellite office in Vancouver, and so he was working out of our Langley office. And then the time came. It's like, we want you to be an owner. So the owner of the Vancouver franchise partnered with him, and we expanded into Calgary. How many times have you, in your experience, in your years of moving, had that guy where like, I wish I could give him more. I wish I could give him more. It doesn't have to start and end at operations manager. You could make them an owner. I went and visited Braden in Calgary. That's the one who took over the Calgary franchise. And we were just doing site visits, door knocking, commercial businesses. And when he got to say he was the local owner of You Move Me Calgary, you could tell like it just added so much confidence to an otherwise honestly very quiet person. And it's just so inspiring for us to be able to give opportunities to those that might not have that opportunity before. He doesn't have to shell 100% of the money out to open this location. He's got loyal partners that'll be there for him anytime he needs to talk to someone or if he needs to vent. And it's just so inspiring. In our Kansas City location, we've expanded to 3 other locations since then. And it's been the same thing. Guys that grew up in the trucks that didn't have an opportunity to do something otherwise, that would have gone and expanded and become franchise owners. Our general manager in Oklahoma City, he's a franchise partner in our Bentonville, Arkansas location, and because he saw promise from one of the guys, so he went from mover to crew lead to GM to franchise partner. It's just such an amazing story because there's so many hardworking people out there, and we're showing that you don't need a degree. You just need a little bit of drive and a lot of grit. And if you have those 2 things, who's to say you can't own a $1 million business? Who's to say you can't own multiple $1 million businesses? We want to provide the funnel that anyone that's willing and able has an opportunity to become an owner of You Move Me.
Do you look at the revenue, the EBITDA? What are you looking for when that franchisee wants to expand? Like, are those the type of conversations you have saying, hey, we want to open up in this location and that location? It's in your vicinity. We've looked at XYZ and we think you'd be fantastic in here. We can help you with financing, or you have to come up with the financing and this is available for you. You just, sign here, or this is the setup. Like, what does that look like? As opposed to, let's just use Vancouver for location. So I'm the Vancouver franchisee owner. I am doing 5 million in sales, but my profit margins are maybe quite low. But, the company is doing well. It's doing okay. What factors are you looking at before that offer comes up saying, hey, we actually have Calgary that we want to open up. This would be a great opportunity for you. Or, hey, we need to see this percentage higher. We need to see you work on XYZ before any more further opportunities come up.
Yeah, it's a great question. And it comes down to the P&L, right? Profit over everything in this instance. I need to see consistent profit, and I also need to see revenue growth. If we see revenue growth decreasing, but it's still like quite high and we're not going backwards, and we see consistent profit, then I'll nudge a franchise partner that it might be time to expand. But we're never really going to push them to expand because they need to have the person that's ready to expand. But one of our locations, he's been talking about expansion, and it's just been kind of like a passive conversation. And I was like, okay, let me fly down to your location. We'll review all of your P&Ls for all of your locations for the last 2 years, and we'll make sure that we right set the profit opportunity then we'll keep the business running for this year and see how it goes. And if you hit those higher benchmarks in profitability, that's your sign that it's time to expand. And basically, the additional profit that we've helped this location make is going to cover their cost of expansion.
Now, this is all pretty and fluffy talk. What about the ones that have went sideways?
Yeah, that's kind of my specialty of what I do the most is locations that are struggling. I fly there and we have an honest conversation of where do you want this to go?
What's the most common thing that you see?
Just disengaged ownership is the biggest thing. You have to lead from the front. If you're not in the office with the guys working, like making sure that they feel good when they're going out every day, grinding out those jobs, then you're not going to have a successful operation. You need to make sure your frontline employees are taken care of the best. And you can't just do it remotely. You need to be there with them. And a lot of it is re-engaging. A lot of it is organization. I would say my specialty is looking at optimizing any part of the business and also ideation. When I say ideation, I'm always coming up with ideas, honestly, to a fault, because I have so many ideas coming through my head all of the time. But at the same time, I'm a big believer in let's try everything, and whatever works, let's keep doing it. And whatever doesn't work, let's stop doing it. And you can't keep doing the same strategy forever and expecting things to work. If that were to happen, McDonald's would never add new items to its menu. But McDonald's has to constantly add new items to its menu to take all the stuff off because tastes change. If you look at all the businesses that have gone under that were so big, too big to fail, it's because they didn't innovate. I'll never forget the example of Kodak. Kodak cameras and film, they were the first ones to ever make a digital camera, but they thought it would never take off. And look at Kodak now. And for us, it's like if the franchisee is disengaged, what are you going to want to do? You want to shut this down? Because then you're going to lose your entire investment. Or we can scale it, we can make it profitable, we can turn it around, and then when you exit, it'll be a lot easier to exit, and B, you'll get a better return on your capital. No one's going to want to buy a business in decline. And if they do, it's pennies on the dollar.
Someone like Prabh is always full of ideas. He even had the brainiac idea to come on a podcast in July wearing what looks like earmuffs ready for the winter. It doesn't even look like headphones. I feel like he's not even listening to me this entire time. He's just nodding his head. But it just looks like big earmuffs with the red that's coming in on his earmuffs. So anyways, I want to throw that out. It's been bugging me for the last 30 minutes. I just wanted to throw it out.
I just didn't want to be that guy that has AirPods in all the time like yourself. So
you know what? I typically wear my headphones. I would have been matching with you. And sadly, my son was using them on our last trip. And yeah, so there we go. I haven't brought him back to the office yet.
Well, fair enough.
Fair enough. I know. That's the problem when you bring things along.
If you're considering Snowball, just do it.
Snowball creates done-for-you referral programs for moving companies so you can turn happy customers into new revenue without lifting a finger. And the results speak for themselves.
In less than a year, we've collected over 2,000 referrals.
We generated over $200,000 of revenue that cost about $5,000 to do it.
I believe we have 4 or 5 the very first day.
The companies winning with Snowball are the ones that already care about their customers. We just help turn that into new business through human outreach and customer nurturing.
Snowball is part of the arsenal of tools that I recommend to my clients because it works.
When you look at those companies that are failing, you're sitting down talking, you're saying, look, we're going to change this around and everything else. The disengagement, can you elaborate on that type of disengagement? Is it because he's not just paying himself quite well? He's just not in the office. He's letting other office management employees lead the teams? Or is it more of just a total complete disengagement where he doesn't care about investing in the marketing aspects of things, doesn't care about creating that leadership and that culture within the team?
The most common thing I see is people think that they can get to a point in the business will run itself and they can take their foot off the gas. And it's the most foolish thing. To be completely transparent, I thought it was the same thing. If I get to this point, I will not have to work as hard. But the reality is you have to work even harder when you get to that point. And so it's just basically kind of resetting people's mindset a little bit and just getting them to understand, if you want to continue benefiting from all the work that you put in, you got to keep your foot on the gas. Now, you don't have to floor it still, but if you take your foot off, you're going to start to lose momentum and you're going to go backwards. And you want to go through the pain of having to go in when you don't want to back into the business to turn it around? Or would you rather stabilize the ship right from now and make sure profitability stands, profitability profitability stays in line, and then you can continue to compound on top of that. And it's a lot easier for people to say, you know what, like, I see some trouble signs, I'm gonna get back into this now, versus before it's too late. Because when it's too late, it's just a lot more to work with. No one wants to work with a disinterested owner. They want the owner to be working alongside them.
I totally agree. I always just find like it's a fine line where, as an owner, you try and either choose what to focus on. Being in the front lines, I agree, but I find that it's like, do you get to that point where you do have people in place and now you are just choosing the right people to manage, and you are overseeing it, and then but your focus point is still on growth. The pedal's not off, but you maybe are not just constantly hands in. Maybe you're not in those morning huddles with the drivers, because you now have an operations manager that's handling those meetings, or you have an HR person that's now doing the hiring, so you're not doing the hiring anymore. Like, there's that sense of growth, but I see what you mean. I mean, there's a difference between being disengaged and there's a sense of being on the pedal, but you don't have to go full throttle. You still have to keep your eyes and ears.
So let's say you've got an operations manager that's doing your daily huddles. You naturally are going to want to make sure that those daily huddles are being performed correctly. So you're going to inspect what you expect, right? So you're going to go into one of those huddles and you're going to be like, okay, I would give you from a grade from A to F, I would give you a B plus. Let's work on making that an A plus. And so in essence, you're doing the right things that way. But if you go 6 months without ever attending the huddle, that's a huge miss, because how do you know if it's working? You also can have skip level meetings where maybe instead of your directors coming and reporting you, managers can book a meeting with you, and then they can let you know their thoughts. I know you're the type of guy who you're just going to always talk to everyone to make sure everyone's vibing and having things in the same way. Because the minute they aren't, then dysfunction is going to begin.
What's up, guys? Quick interruption during your Movified listen here. I know you're crushing it, taking notes, and you're killing it. Hey, if you're looking for a coach to hold you accountable, connect you with other companies, and show you exactly how they lead their multiple locations, give me a call today. Text me. We'll get you taken care of. We'll get you signed up for the Moving Army. 805-441-6118. You reach out to me. I'll always make sure I give you my all. Let's go.
So while you don't need to be in every meeting all of the time, you're still checking in with all of your teammates to make sure that they're seeing the same thing the same way. Am I right?
Yeah, you want that same vision. You want everybody steering the boat in the direction that you want. And for those that don't want to, get off the boat, but you want to make sure your team leads are all on the same page. And I think, just like what you were saying before, it's, if that person's leading the meeting, then maybe if you're missing it, you should have a camera up. You should be able to like dial in. If you're out of town, you should be able to listen into the call. You want to know what's happening. You kind of want to still have your ears, like, people are always like, oh, I hate working at companies where they're very big brother. It's like, yeah, but there's a reason to that madness, right? There's a reason why, because the owner wants to make sure things are being taken care of, that there is still control, and that if there's an issue, they can still look into it. They can still handle it, right? That's why do you think you have things like Ring Central and Dialpad that have, the calls being recorded, and for quality assurance, and now, like, AI summary, so you can look back at what that, call summary was, and find out what went wrong, what didn't go wrong. It's so important, because it's the only way we can grow, is to find out which mistakes are happening. And that's also leads me to the big point of the big thing that's happening with Movified, and Prob's a big asset in that too. Back at the end of 2024, Prabh and I had a meeting about trying to put together a small group of business owners and create a mastermind group, where there was less fluff, more on the point, and more, here's the topic, this is what we want to discuss, and we want to have everybody engaged, so that we are not reinventing the wheel, but we're learning from one another on a monthly basis and keeping it tight. Do you want to kind of elaborate on this, Prabh? It's been very successful. We've had fantastic feedback on it. It's going to be part of the Movified platform that's going to be launching in September. And do you kind of want to speak on why we wanted to kind of do this, and how's it benefited you?
I would say, yeah, absolutely. I would say the number one reason personally that YouMove isn't a $100 million company yet is because I never talked to my competitors. And you might think like, oh, why would you want to talk to your competitors? Well, because we're all going through the same thing. And not all of us are going to go out for every single job, every single estimate. We're not always going to be bidding against each other. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of moving companies in every major metro. And so it's better for us to band together to at least innovate and work together. So we're not all expensing the same expenses. I make way less expensive mistakes because I talk to other people to see if they've done it before. And that is so valuable to me. And that segued into this mastermind. Like the mastermind started out as me, Mark, and two other guys in our local market saying we should just get together and chat. And then I'm like, Mark, I think there's something here. And I think we should start hosting an online mastermind. We have very strict criteria. It's application only if you want to join the mastermind, but videos on, people have to be engaging. They all have to contribute or they're not welcome back into the call. If they miss consecutive meetings, they're no longer welcome. And because of that and being so strict in terms of who's allowed to speak, when they're allowed to speak, we have some of the best collaboration that I've ever gone through. I always used to think like there's nothing that someone can teach me about moving that I haven't seen before. Every single time I'm on one of these calls, I'm like, holy shit. And I'm the guy that never writes notes. And I think like, because I feel like I know it all, I'm constantly writing notes after the masterminds. And not only that, it's like you're engaging with others after the call. I feel like I've gained 10 new friends that I would have never met in my lifetime that I talk to on a regular basis that help me through a lot of my problems. Not because they think I'm a good guy, because they want to support me. And it goes vice versa. The amount of calls that I've gotten from members of the mastermind, be like, hey, what would you do in this situation? It's a lot. But at the same time, like I feel a tremendous sense of accomplishment making sure that I help them scale their business. And you get to celebrate the wins with them. Like I think that's honestly one of the most motivating pieces. Like when someone's like, "Hey, hey Mark, I followed your recommendation. I did this. It's had a huge change on my business." It's like, how wouldn't that make you feel good? And the benefit of it is like we've seen continued success from our existing members of Mastermind One that we're going to expand it to more masterminds. Like the members in Mastermind One collectively are doing over $100 million in revenue a year between all of our businesses. And it's like the amount of information that we share with one another that can go into Mastermind 2 and every subsequent mastermind, we're really building something. And the idea is that we want the strongest to survive because we know how many people bet their house on this, how many people has got kids' college educations that they got to pay for. So there's strength in numbers, and I'm a big believer in that. And I honestly think that one of the major contributors to my success as CEO of Mobio Brands and also to expanding Me to the next level will be the mastermind groups because it allows me to innovate way faster and spend less money innovating. And when you look at those two contributing factors, what's not to love?
That was so good. That another ad. This guy is like the spokesperson for ads. I really appreciate it. A short story, and I can't remember if I said it when you first came on, but we talk about the gas pedal, and I was growing my previous moving company, Action Movers, exponentially, and we were diversifying into more restoration. Things were moving fast, and I decided to stop networking. I wasn't networking as much. I wasn't going to the BNIs that are out there, the chamber meetings that were happening. And as I wanted to step back into that platform, going like, all right, you know what? I grew the business. This is typically what I always tell people all the time. You go in these networking groups to grow your business. You've grown it. Go send your salespeople. Go send someone else. You have other larger fish to fry and bigger networks to attack. Especially if you do a lot of business development or if you have someone that is in business development. But what ended up happening is I started going to these networking meetings and I'd always be like, do you guys ever put a mover in this group? Oh yeah. You ever heard of this guy named Prabh from You Move Me? And I'd be like, nope, I have no idea who you're talking about. Go to another networking meeting. Oh yeah. That's Prabh from You Move Me. Okay. And then it just kept going on. All these little places or guys and gals that I knew in different networking circles would be like, oh yeah, like you really should connect yourself with Prabh. This guy's a fantastic fellow. And it just annoyed the hell out of me. I was like, who is this guy? I'm supposed to be the most charismatic guy in the industry, in my area. And here's this Prabh from You Move Me that is creeping in all my circles. And the moment he would leave a networking group, I'm like, great, yeah, put me in, because it gave me this motivation to kind of get back in. And we finally started messaging each other on LinkedIn saying, dude, let's get together here. We need to sit down and go for lunch and find out why everybody loves Mark Hirschi and Prabh Heer, because it seems as though we have a lot of commonality. We get together, we meet, and it was just one of those things where it's just long overdue. It was like instant friendship, where the connection that Prabh said at the beginning, the drive that we both have, the sense of community and fellowship among our industry, within our lines of businesses, our families, they align so well that we knew together there's a strength in numbers. There's a strength in numbers, like Prabh talked about, by having a large franchise behind you for packing supplies, marketing opportunities, discounts after discounts after discounts. There is a power by numbers when you have this opportunity to network with other moving companies in your local area. You know how easy it is for me to place a call in for a container of moving pads now, that if I had 10 other movers interested in buying the pads, that would bring my cost down and we all benefit and save, as opposed to going to our local packaging supply company. Same goes with boxes. Same goes for any type of digital services. You know how easy it is for me to put a phone call in to say, hey, I have 5 or 10 other moving companies interested in this one product with you. What kind of discount can you give me? As opposed to me saying, I have one location, I'm just interested in trying this out, and try and give it a go. It is so important. And since then, and to echo what Prabh's saying, this mastermind has always been fantastic. I really appreciate everybody's input in there. It's constantly made me learn new tools and what others are doing. I mean, it's exactly why we try and get together, why we go to these conferences and go to the Titan retreats and the Louis Massaros. It's to not just to listen to the speakers, but it's also to network with other like-minded individuals in the industry that we're in. So we're trying to bring it even, to a broader scale, and also try and expand this model across Canada as well too, to build local communities, but also to expand the mastermind groups so that you get to learn what someone else is doing across the country. And maybe there's a way and a synergy to all work together, right? I mean, I remember it was one of our second calls or third calls. It was, hey, I actually have a shipment that's going from here to here. And one of the other in the group said, well, great, I can take care of this and I can help you out here. And that job, where everybody's not making money, would have probably never happened had it not been for the unity of a mastermind group.
Yeah, I would add to that. Like, I think in the last 6 months of hosting it, we've done $100,000 in referrals between each other. That's a lot of money. A lot of money for an hour. I was going to say an hour a month, but like the calls are never an hour, so 90 minutes a month. 90 minutes a month. Let's call it like just over 10 hours with the work collectively has done over $100,000 in referrals. And the best part is, like, we're just sharing with each other, right? There's no sense that not all of us can have our fair share, and it shows you how to collaborate even further. I think back to my first introduction to being on this podcast and being like, I remember Mark's like, stop using that fake voice. Like, you sound weird. And it's like, the only reason why I'm so comfortable on Zoom calls and doing podcasts now is honestly because of the mastermind, because it forces me to talk to people outside of You Move Me. If I talk to people that I'm used to talking to every single day or every single week for the last 10 years, I'm naturally going to be comfortable talking to them. I've become a better public speaker because of the mastermind, because it forces me to actually get to know people. When I'm on vendor calls, I can be a lot more to the point because I hear everything else that other people have said. And sure, a lot more vendors hate me, but at least I'm not getting ripped off as much anymore. Like, there's just so much more to it. And also there's a lot of work that gets put in behind the scenes when it comes to picking the topic. It's not like we come into the mastermind call and we don't have a topic ready. There's always a topic ready, and we're asking every single person to engage with the topic. And if they don't, then they're out. And that's the best part.
Hi, I'm Mark Hirschi with Salmon's Moving and Storage. Today, I want to talk about Tighten Up training. Why? Because this is Netflix grade quality training. It's not those old videos and VHSs that you got hiding in your office somewhere. It's online, it's easy to use, they're short videos, but they get to the point. My new employees, these guys run through these training programs. There's tests at the end, and they're coming out going, oh, I'm ready to rock. So if you haven't checked out Tighten Up Training yet, get a demo done. Get on board. Guess what else is there? Online portals for my sales staff. Can you believe it? These guys can learn how to overcome objections and book more leads today. So what are you waiting for? Go check out Tighten Up Training today.
That's our little spiel on that one. If you want to learn more, definitely reach out to myself, reach out to Prabh. We will start having a join the mailing list. Go to movified.ca, sign up on the mailing list if you're interested. We'll get that form, make sure that it's up and ready for you if you're interested in joining one of the mastermind groups. We would love to meet you. We'd love to have a quick chat and see if you're a great fit. I mean, that's what it's all about, is to make sure that everybody works together. There's no animosity between each other and within the groups. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. Let's talk about disrupting van lines. I'm a van line agent. We'll finish on this topic because in this way I'll hold us to not talking overly about it. I've been not in a van line for the better part of my moving career, and I've been part of a van line now for the last 7 years. Coming into a company that was part of a van line for a very long time. There's its pros, there's its cons, right? It's the same. I want to kind of say it's the same model as being part of a franchise and not being part of a franchise. But there is this disruption that I consistently see with independent movers that is happening more frequently than ever before because technology and opportunities are there where they used to not be there. Can you shed some light on what You Move Me is doing, what your take is on this, and what should we be looking out for, the van line agents that are listening to this?
I love the topic of disrupting van lines because I don't like it. It feels like it's a blue sky opportunity. Like I feel like Uber was disrupting the taxi industry, but my point is like there's a lot of industries that have stagnated when it comes to innovation and stagnated when it comes to execution, right? So when I see like this is the way something needs to be done, my immediate question is like, why can't it be done better? And like, why do we have to do it this way? If this way is inefficient or there's a time and place for it, then that's fine. So You Move Me, we've demonstrated a lot of success in local moving. I don't think there's any question about that. So naturally, it's like, what do we want to move into next? And we decided long distance moving was an option. We have locations across North America. We can help them. We can use them to help with loading or unloading. But like, what's our competitive advantage when it comes to us versus the van lines if we're inevitably going to be more expensive because we have a smaller network? And the answer is we get stuff there faster. We have one person and one crew that will handle your move from start to finish. You can lock the truck before you leave to your destination, and that truck does not get reopened until we get to the destination and you unlock it yourself. You have a clear understanding of exactly what day your goods are going to arrive. You no longer have to book a hotel or an Airbnb. You no longer have to be in fear that your stuff isn't going to arrive on time for when you're starting a new position. Not to mention, you get so much more control over the delivery of how you want your stuff to be taken. I think for us, we're only growing, like our van line our long distance business will be the second largest, if not the largest franchise that we have in our company. We treat our long distance company as a franchise, and it'll be the second largest, and we only launched it a year ago.
Is it a third party long distance side of things, or is it within the organization?
Within the organization, we just track the revenue as like an individual location, calling it interstate, right? And next year, without a doubt, it will be the largest franchise we have, hands down. And it'll probably be 50% larger than the number one location that we have. That's within 2 years. So what's to say that we'll get within 5 years and 10 years, right? And a big reason for that success is exactly what we touched on in the mastermind, because we don't have representation everywhere. I'll give you a good reference. I had a call from our director of long distance. He's like, hey man, I've got to move going to Memphis. I need your help. I'm like, I live in Vancouver, Canada. I don't know anyone in fucking Memphis. But Mark Hirschi knows someone in Memphis, and it's Steve Reed of Big League Movers. So I get on the phone with Steve, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm happy to help you out. Just send one guy down and we'll help unload him. But do me a favor. I'm like, what's that? He's like, just stay out of Memphis. Well, okay, that's fair enough. He's like, I've got a really big business here. I've got a good thing going. We can work together, and you don't have to operate in my city. And not to say, like, that's not to say that this will happen everywhere, but I agreed with him. Why would I want to compete against him where we both burn our Google our money to find leads on Google for us each to make less profit each time? Or we could just partner together, and anytime I got a move going to Memphis, I can always work with him. Anytime Steve Reed has a move going to any of our locations, we're happy to help him unload. This is on top of what we were already doing when we were managing the move end to end. Now we're picking up backhauls. Now we're picking up unloading jobs only. What's our cost to acquire that lead? It's nothing. We don't need to do everything on a referral credit or a kickback system. It's just, let's work together. I'll help you on this one. You help me on the next one. And because of that, I can see this growing to much larger than we had ever anticipated because the number of partners is just getting bigger and bigger. Go ahead.
Are you using a sense of origin, destination, line haul style rating? So if let's just use that example, I have a job that's going from you move me in Dallas, and it's going to Memphis. Right. So, for example, you have the pickup at that location and then the destination over at Big League. If the customer is not ready for those items and it's delivering, you said it will only come from that truck. So are you delaying that truck to pick up a different shipment because there's a backhaul that needs to be taken care of, let's say on the 1st, but that truck arrives in Memphis on the 30th? And it's only the same truck that's got to be offloaded?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think because we have such specific criteria with our customers, it's either we unload that day or we unload it into storage. But we can't necessarily double up and try to do something else. That's why people choose to go with us, because they get a guarantee. And if they want to work out a deal with Steve to take it out of storage after, that's fine. But we got to go back at that time.
So the deal that you stipulate with your customers is we can have this shipped and delivered on, let's say, the 30th of the month, in Memphis, in your home. Or if your home is not ready, it's going to get offloaded into storage, let's say, using our, a collective partner, Big League Movers. Steven would get the revenue for whatever the storage is. And then would their move get prorated at a discounted rate because you're not providing the offload? Steven Reed and Big League Movers is?
Well, we would still do the offload into storage. So then anything that like goes into storage and that move after would go to Steve, right? Like our estimate is to unload the goods in whatever city that we're moving into, whether it's storage or home. And to be honest, I'd probably be happy if it got delayed. Customer wouldn't be happy, but I know at least Steve would be happy because he's lining his pockets and be like, I didn't even pay anything for that lead.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure. That's where I'm trying to figure out how does that work. What about the is there a referral fee, like a booking commission for those that have the lead, they can't service it, but they pass it over to You Move Me?
Yeah, that's something that we work on as a case by case basis, because like if they're one offs, we tend not to do a referral fee. But if they're on a consistent basis, we want to make sure at the very minimum that your ad cost is covered for that lead. If you're spending $300 to acquire a customer and the job is big enough, why don't we just give you $300 back? Because it would have cost, that way the next customer you get is free, and you'll never forget that You Move Me paid for you to acquire that next customer. So you didn't have to increase your marketing budget to get the same number of jobs that you needed because we helped you with that one other one. And I think like ultimately that's where we want to keep it. We don't want to gouge people in terms of referral fees and stuff, but we also want to make sure that our guys are whole, because the more money you can continue spending in marketing, the higher likelihood that you'll have another referral for us down the road. We're all competing for the same leads in a lot of these markets, right? So it's like, if we can all spend a little bit less and give Google a little bit less money, we're all going to be happier. At the end of the day, if we get to a point where it's all referral based and we're getting a lot of long distance referrals and there's no ad cost to anyone, that just means that we have more room to take care of your guys if something were to go wrong, and vice versa. If our guys came, let's say our guys got stuck overnight in Memphis and we were pretty tight on margin. So he's like, well, you guys took care of me last time, I'll cover the hotel costs on this one. There's nothing but benefit that can come through this. And that's why That's why I think the van lines is an ancient model. It's an aging model. Sure, they have the network, but they don't have the tenacity that we do in terms of getting shit there as fast as possible.
Well, I agree. I know the van line model is finding solutions, and they're finding more effective ways to handle those obstacles, which is getting the customer's goods from point A to point B at an effective price, than waiting for backhauls and waiting for a 53-foot trailer to be fully loaded. So that there is, but the models of staying on top of technology, and I have this conversation with many van line agents that heavily rely on the van line as opposed to what's happening in their COD market, that they will get eaten up alive if they don't stay with the foot on the pedal and the
100%.
gas full throttle in those areas, because there's companies that are creeping up left, right, and center, and we see it in our networking groups all the time. So
I'll add to that is I'm also the fractional CEO of our CRM software that we own called Movified. Movified has the ability.
Let's talk about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I'm joking. I wasn't really talking about the CRM system. But yes, let's talk about that. Movified.
Shameless plug about Movified. Well, the biggest thing is we're creating a marketplace for our long distance partners, because let's say that I have a move and you have a move, but we're on two different platforms. It's not going to communicate well. How are we going to know who's splitting what customer is paying for what half, who's collecting the money, how is the money reported? We're expanding our service offerings there just to make sure that any of our agency partners can have access to our platform. And because we're cheaper than Smart Moving and Super Move by a large margin, it allows them an opportunity to be a part of a network system without paying a high usage fee. And the idea is we want to be vertically integrated when it comes to this side of it. We don't want you to have your schedule on like your job on Bonago or Jobber, and then us having it on Movified, and then it doesn't communicate with one another. It just makes it messy. But if we create the platform that allows you to be able to see the job on there and to send jobs back, it makes it a lot easier. And I think for us, it's not just going to be like getting stuff from origin to destination. It's going to be making sure that we have the right technology to support it, and also we have the right crews, the teams to support it. We're not partnering with any random moving company in every city that we go in. Often there's times where we don't have origin or destination representation, and we can't help that customer because we're so strict on who we vet to be part of our network. And so the more people that come onto the platform, you'll have the sense of comfort knowing that if you need someone on this platform is going to be pre-vetted by me. And if they're pre-vetted by me, you have a pretty good understanding of what kind of crew you're going to get. And the benefit is if they try to do wrong by you, well, then they could get kicked off the platform and they could never get a long distance move ever again.
Yeah, it's a sense of community. I mean, it's you want the right people, right? There's lots of shysters out there, and if you want to service customers and say you are the best, then make sure you're aligning yourself with nothing but the best.
Exactly.
So good shameless plug on you, Prabh. But yeah, definitely check out the CRM system. Go do a demo. I always tell people go do a demo and check things out. There's no one's forcing you to hand over your credit card when you are just testing out a platform.
Of course, we encourage it.
It's definitely worthwhile. So for sure, Prabh, this has been fantastic. I know you have a flight to catch and so little time to spare for little old me, but I always appreciate when you do. Thank you so much. And for all those that are listening, share your comments on what works. Are you part of a van line? Are you not? Are you just independent? Are you struggling? Is your summer killing it so much that you say nay to the franchise models and yay to just staying independent? You want to expand it yourself? We'd love to know what works and what doesn't work for you. If you'd like to get in touch with Prabh, we'll have his link and contact details for LinkedIn in the comments or description below. But he would love to have a conversation with you, especially if you're interested in learning more about the franchise model for You Move Me. And finally, for those that are interested, September is coming up quick. And what is in September? It is the Moving Titan Retreat, where you will see myself set up. I know Prabh's got his tickets.
I'll be there.
It is going to be huge. You do not want to miss this. The lineup of speakers keeps getting better and better. Every time I look, there's a different, better looking picture of Chad Coatney, one of the co-founders of the tent retreat. I don't know what he's doing, but I don't know if it's just a better filter, but every time I'm always just all smiles ear to ear. Regardless, go sign up. These guys are, the prices are going up. I think they just kicked up higher again too. I am sure if you follow the code that will be down below, you can still try and get $100 off your ticket. But you know what? And if you're not, you let me know, because I will hound them to make sure you're at least getting some type of discount off your ticket, because you don't want to miss this event. I don't want to go on a crazy ramble about it, but it is one of the highlights every year that I get to go to this event and experience networking like no other, with so many moving company owners and their teams. The vendors are epic. The speakers are just handpicked to make sure that what is happening in the industry, you are learning. This isn't you're listening to a speaker that's talking about things that happened in 2023. This is what's going to happen in 2026, and so that you are prepared. So make sure you get your tickets now. The Moving Titan Retreats, and the link will be down below. And for all those that are listening, stay movified, and until next time.